Okay. We had an interesting time trying to name this talk because it's more about process than anything. And use the word process and you might bore people to death. So this is a two-part talk. I'll be giving the first half. It's about specification and design. The second half, Jason McCreary, JMac we'll say for short, will give the second half of the talk, which is more about the actual code involved in building some of the things that we're talking about here. So since it's a small group, feel free to chime in, ask questions, have some fun, you know, loosen up a little bit. It's all good. So I'm Jason.
Did
Clark.
you draw that yourself?
I did not, unfortunately. I forgot how to draw in about 5th grade. So, so President Creative Director of VIA Studio. So we're going to talk about the Actors Theater project that we just launched on November 1st. I wanted to start off with this quote by Ryan Singer because I think it's very relevant to any complex project, and this is where a lot of clients kind of get frustrated with the process because their expectations don't always match what either their budgets or your expectations might be. So I've never heard of a more diplomatic way to say this than new insights appear at any stage of a project. While you're designing something, while you're building something, so you really want to work in as much flexibility and adaptability into your websites as possible because of this simple concept. And again, it's destroyed projects before because of that. So I feel like a lot of my job these days is expectation management. So I'm not putting that on my business card though. So this is directly related to the Actors Theater project. And the things that I'm going to talk about here are the history of the site and the organization, the discovery process, how we figured out what we were going to do with the site, the new goals of the site, again, the process going from the goals to actually building it, how WordPress directly related to some of the things that we were going to build, and again, the specifics JMac's going to dig into a little bit more than me. And then the future of the site, because we're trying to look 5 years ahead instead of 5 years behind, which is frustrates people on IE6, but hey, that's their problem now, right? Not ours. Right? Right. So the history of the site, Actors Theater had this beautiful F since about, I don't know what year. They launched it a long time ago, and of course they grew out of it, and they never really had the money or the budget or the time to improve on it until they got in touch with us. So the problems here, it was a difficult to update site. The marketing people had to learn Dreamweaver in order to get into the site to update it, and they had access to about that much of the site that they could update. So all of this stuff they were straight images that they had to upload into this CMS, which was really frustrating for them. And again,
what was it previously based on?
The CMS? Do you all remember? I don't know.
I don't know that I ever knew.
Yeah, the history of content management systems is
probably contributed. It was Dreamweaver.
It was not Contribute. It's older than Contribute. So we can find out. But I think it was a proprietary system that another company came up with and then dropped development on, which is, you know, another argument for open source CMSs. The navigation was confusing. At some point in the past, they just started adding stuff here, so there was really no rhyme or reason to how things were organized. And obviously the design sucked. Another big thing was no archival abilities. A big part of what Actors does is their productions, their cast and crew. They even gave some information to us that was really interesting. Like, you know, there's this person on Dexter, or no, it was True Blood. where there was an actress that's acting on that had her start at Actors Theater. So that's interesting stuff for the organization. That's good for search engine optimization. It's good for marketing. They had no way to promote that on their site, and I think that was a growing frustration with them. So, again, this is a lot about process. So, we started this discovery process with them, and here's what you do. Stakeholder meetings. Kim here sat with them for about a week with every department and talked about what they wanted. What did you like about the old site? What didn't you like? What do you need? And there are a million ways to get this kind of information from them. We've done user stories, we've done, just note taking and whatever. But it's a, give us your best scenario for your website. And to lots of different people, that means lots of different things. External stakeholders are also important because the clients don't necessarily see the forest for the trees because they're on the outside, they're on the inside looking out. The people who are giving them money are on the outside looking in. So that's a very, very different story there, what your visitors want than what you want to tell them. Talk to me about another client in private, and I'll give you some horror stories there. So the goals of Actors Theater, you see Puff the Magic Dragon there. This is Kim's analogy for what they wanted. So their goals, they want to communicate their brand effectively. Actors is a very prestigious international organization, and obviously you aren't able to tell that by their website, but they have a great reputation in the theater world. And you go outside of Louisville and it's Derby, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and Actors Theater. That's an artsy person you're talking to. They wanted to use graphics and images better on the site. Obviously, they didn't have enough control over the design to really give it their posters are always awesome. Archiving of past productions and just general information. This is where Puff comes into play. They do a lot of things, again, that the public might not see that's important to them. They have to promote to other theater groups. They have to attract good interns, good actors and whatnot. So in order to do that, they need to show what they've done in the past. So Puff is this magic beast that we're going to grow from now into the future that archives all that stuff for them. They want to integrate social media. Obviously, being a theater company, the social world is very important to them. So they were already doing Facebook and Twitter and the usual suspects there, but their site had really no way to take advantage of that. E-commerce is something they need. They have to sell tickets, obviously.
And collect money.
Collect money. They do a lot of donations. They do a lot of fundraisers, that type of thing. And they want to position their website for growth. Again, we want to look 5 years into the future, not 5 years into the past, and position themselves so they are not in the same situation in 5 years needing another website because this one wasn't what it needed to be. And with all clients, etc., 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 they want the moon, and we deliver as much of that as we can. So our goals as a development company, first of all for me, were to break some rules and to have some fun. Being this part of the region, we don't get many entertainment kind of websites to do. So this was a really good opportunity for us to do some fun stuff. So what can we do in this new world of usability and SEO and content and social media that makes it interesting for us? We wanted to leverage WordPress natively, and again, JMac's going to get into that a little bit deeper, into what that implies, but we wanted to get away from writing plugins or custom code or anything like that and just use the power of WordPress. And right when we were planning the site, WordPress 3 was announced, which gave us some really cool tools to use to be able to do that. I don't really think we could have without WordPress 3.0. Custom post types and taxonomies being a big thing there, a big win. action-oriented navigation. We've got just a lot of uneducated clients that are more interested in communicating their organizational structure than actually encouraging people to do things. So it was a big goal to tell them what to do, give them action-oriented things to do. We wanted to learn something. You know, luckily we're in an industry where you have to keep learning. So this was a really good project, just again to dig in and challenge each other and ask good questions. They were a great client to work with in that way because they really took our suggestions. So internally, our suggestions better be well thought out. We've got to have a good reason why we're doing something. And then the last one always, from the business perspective, on time and on budget. We won one of those battles and lost the other. Okay, so we dug into specification here. And what that really, the big thing there is wireframes. We've always done pencil sketch wireframes and a little bit of Photoshop wireframing and gray box kind of stuff, but we knew that we needed this to be much better thought out than some of the previous projects that we did. So we went looking for the best tool for the job. So this was a fun little debate internally. It really came to OmniGraffle versus Axure. I don't know how many of you all do wireframing. Anybody? Anybody? Yeah? Okay, good.
Balsamic, but I use.
Pardon?
I use Balsamic.
I don't remember that one.
It's a nice sketch tool.
Okay. Well, we went through this vetting process, and OmniGraffle and Axure seem to be the ones that, and I'll check out that one. I don't remember that one. They seem to be the most mature ones and the ones that everybody wanted to work with. So Axure eventually won that battle for the simple fact that it was multi-platform. OmniGraffle is only available on the Mac, and we had both Mac and PC users. And there was the potential when we first got into this that the client, we may give them the wireframes to play with, which luckily we didn't. But again, some of them are on PCs and some are on Macs. So we wanted to be multi-platform. So based on our discovery and all the things that we wanted to do, all of our goals, we built these wireframes in Axure. And I think the biggest win here from using Photoshop for some of our wireframes was that this is obviously not pretty, and it communicated something entirely different than the design. So anybody in here that's purely a designer and has trouble with the communicating a concept to a client instead of a design, you know, hey, I don't want that box gray, I want it to be blue and sparkly. This is a really good tool for doing that. Axure lets you all of these areas can be clickable and do different things. So this is the home page. I can talk a little bit about what the design implied. You can't see the top there. This is the nav, and again, it's all action oriented. Visit, learn, support, participate. Do something. We wanted a big area to promote whatever shows they do. Of course, their big mission here is to do productions. So as much real estate on the home page as possible to do that. And then all of this drives from the calendars and some other things. So, but the point here is we're not thinking about the technology yet, we're thinking about the visitor. What do they want to do when they come to the site? There's different types of visitors. The people who are going into the visit section are completely different, potentially, from the people who are going into the learn sections. Actors does education initiatives in schools and stuff, so they're going out to the schools. So don't come visit us, let us come visit you. So again, that was really important. And WordPress didn't really play much into this part of the process. We started to brainstorm a little bit on how it could work, but again, we don't want to think too much about the technology just yet. The visit section, this was a season page, so just the way we wanted to see that work with different events and whatnot. And then a specific show page. Again, really